Now, the greatest radio shows of all time.
Suspense.
The Shadow Node.
Washington calling David Harding, counter-spy.
Classic radio theater.
The Great Gildersleeve.
Fibber McGee and Molly.
Dragnet. Gunsmoke.
The Lone Ranger.
Now, step back into a time machine with your host, Wyatt Cox.
Good evening, friends of the Inner Sanctum.
We're going back 66 years and heading even farther back to the Old West. Fort-Laramie, starring Raymond Burr, an episode that was originally broadcast on Sunday, February 26th, 1956. And we thank you for joining us on this Saturday, 26th day of February, 57th day of the year. We have 308 days remaining until we get to 2023. President Lincoln signed the National Currency Act into law on this date in 1863. The first pneumatic subway system opened in New York City in 1870. An act of Congress established most of the Grand Canyon as a national park in 1919. The Grand Teton National Park created in 1929. Prime Minister Winston Churchill announced on this date in 1952 that his nation had an atomic bomb. The final radio broadcast of Dragnet on this date in 1957, and the launch of the first flight of the Saturn 1B rocket in NASA's Apollo program in 1966. In 1971, Secretary General U Thant signed the United Nations proclamation of the vernal equinox as Earth Day. It was on this date in 1972 President Nixon ended his historic talks with Chou En-lai with his departure from Peking for Shanghai.
The primary goal of this trip was to reestablish communication with the People's Republic of China after a generation of hostility. We achieved that goal.
President Nixon very proud of his accomplishments of that trip from China. On this date in 1972, the 300-page Tower Commission report on the Iran-Contra affair released on this date in 1987, portraying President Reagan as being misled and remote enough to establish and to allow his staff members to organize and trade arms to Iran for hostages in Lebanon. Congressman at the time, Charles Schumer of New York, told his colleagues the report makes the truth stranger than fiction.
This report's got spies, arms smuggling, beautiful secretaries, and international intrigue. All the makings of a great Hollywood movie script. Unfortunately, it's real life, and it's at the White House.
Chuck Schumer talking about the Tower Commission report in the Iran-Contra affair back in 1987. On Baghdad Radio on this date in 1991, Iraqi leader Saddam Hussein announced the withdrawal of Iraqi troops from Kuwait, essentially putting an end to the Gulf War. In New York City on this date in 1993, a truck bomb parked below the North Tower of the World Trade Center went off, killing 6 and injuring over 1,000. A woman who was in the subway at the time of the explosion described the scene.
I was basically scared for my life. Many people were crying. Some people fell. Some people fainted. We were trying to help this lady that was about to faint. We helped her up the stairs. But there were so many people, so many different reactions, but I was basically afraid for my life.
Now understand, that was in 1993. The buildings would be destroyed in a subsequent attack on September 11, 2001. At the Houston Astrodome on this date in 1995, Selena performed in her last concert before she was killed. And it was just a sad, sad situation. And in 2004, the U.S. lifted a ban on travel to Libya, ending travel restrictions to the nation that had lasted for 23 years. Passing away on this date in history, composer Howard Hanson, comedian Bill Hicks, actor David Doyle, and Judge Wapner. Remember him from the People's Court? Born on this date in history, writer Victor Hugo, the man behind the jeans, Levi Strauss, the original Buffalo Bill Cody, going back way back when. You remember him as Fred Mertz from I Love Lucy and Bub and My Three Sons. William Frawley, born on this date. cartoonist Tex Avery, actor Dane Clark, actor Robert Alda, Mason Adams, born on this date. You remember him from Lou Grant, and a lot of radio work. We've got a lot of radio work we've heard from him. Tony Randall, born on this date. Actress Betty Hutton. Game show host Tom Kennedy, whom we lost back in 2020 at the age of 93. Fats Domino, I found my thrill. Singer Johnny Cash, the Man in Black. And also born on this date, Jackie Gleason.
My father left home when I was 6 or 6.5, and my mother died when I was very young. So I needed love and approbation and all those other things. And what better way to get them than on the stage, where maybe 2,000-3,000 people all laugh at once or applaud at the same time. That gives you a great feeling.
If you see me coming down the street, get on the other side. When you come down the street, there ain't no other side.
I have a plan that can't miss. One of these days. Pow! Right in your kisser. Hum. Norton! Come on down. You're right, Alice. You're a regular riot. Hope they like those jokes on the moon, because that's where you're going. I have a big ball! Bang! Zoom! Baby, you're the greatest.
And I have to say he was the greatest, Jackie Gleason, born on this date in history. You remember Lost in Space, the blonde-haired daughter, Marta Kristen? She is 77 today. Also from the Detroit Wheels, Mitch Ryder, 77 as well. Michael Bolton, 69 years old. And Erykah Badu is 51. Those some of the people who celebrate the 26th day of February is their birthday. And if this happens to be your birthday...
Hi, we're the Four Freshmen, and we just want to say... Happy birthday to you!
From 66 years ago, February 26, 1956, Raymond Burr, starring in an episode of Fort Laramie, The Captain's Widow. I'm Wyatt Cox. Thanks for tuning in on this Saturday edition of Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox on your favorite radio station.
Are you in bad pain? You know what I mean. Your knees hurt. Your shoulder hurts. Your elbow and back are constantly killing you. And I'm sure you've tried every pain pill or cream available at the drugstore. Am I right? Well, here's something you haven't tried. Pain Magic. Pain Magic is not available at any drugstore. The only place you can get it is by calling the special toll-free number I'm about to give you.
And to make things even better, call right now and find out about our buy one, get one free offer. We're so confident it'll work for you that we offer a free bottle with your purchase. No prescription required.
Call now to learn how you can get Pain Magic and get rid of your pain. Remember, your results may vary.
800-492-8164. 800-492-8164. 800-492-8164. That's 800-492-8164.
Raymond Burr enjoyed doing Fort Laramie. He said the problem was, once he took on the role of Perry Mason, there was no time to record the show. He said maybe you can put a tape recorder in the car and I could record it there, but there's no time. So Raymond Burr gave up the role of Fort Laramie after one season, but we do hear some great Western adventure from the fine actor. Raymond Burr, Fort Laramie, from 66 years ago today, February 26, 1956, on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox.
At the gallop! Oh! Fort Laramie. Fort Laramie, starring Raymond Burr as Captain Lee Quince. Specially transcribed tales of the dark and tragic ground of the wild frontier, the saga of fighting men who rode the rim of empire, and the dramatic story of Lee Quince, Captain of Cavalry.
"83 men for duty. Hardy and Simmons in the hospital. 5 men on leave, Captain."
All right, Corporal Mercer. Just leave the morning report on the desk.
Yes, sir. One of the 3 new men is transferred out here from Fort Laramie, been assigned a 2nd platoon, sir.
Come in.
Captain Quince, the supply train's on its way in.
Oh, good.
Lieutenant Seibert's is sending the train on to the quartermaster's depot, but he said he'd be right here.
All right, thanks, Jenkins.
Oh.
Supply train in from the railroad at Cheyenne, Captain. All stores is ordered.
Anything to report, Mr. Seiberts?
Cracked hub, 2 mules lame, 1 destroyed, otherwise routine, sir.
Your command have a good time in Cheyenne?
I think they did. I noticed a few skinned knuckles.
Any complaints from the civilian authorities?
No, sir.
All right, Seiberts. Sign out to the quartermaster. Water and turn your stock out in the South Range. Dismiss your men. They're relieved from further duty until... What's that buggy doing in your train?
Oh, I was going to tell you about that, sir. We had a passenger, a lady.
Lady?
Mrs. Wentner. She's the widow of an officer who was stationed here.
Oh, that must have been Captain Wentner.
Said he was killed by Cheyenne.
Oh, that's right. 3-4 years ago up in Lance Creek. His whole command was wiped out.
That was before my time. I wonder what she's doing here.
She didn't tell you?
No, sir. Handsome woman.
I take it you enjoyed your trip then, Mr. Seiberts?
Not bad, sir. May I give you a hand, ma'am?
Thank you.
Ms. Wentner, I'm Captain Quince. Welcome to Fort Laramie.
How do you do, Captain? Are you the post commandant?
No, ma'am. That would be Major Daggett. We didn't expect you, Mrs. Wentner. Perhaps your letter was delayed.
There was no letter. I told no one I was coming.
If we had, we might have arranged a more fitting reception and better transportation.
This was quite satisfactory. I rented the horse and buggy in Cheyenne, and the lieutenant furnished me a driver. You were very considerate, Lieutenant Seiberts.
Thank you, Mrs. Wentner. Now, if you'll excuse me, I'll get back to the train.
Of course. Thank you, Lieutenant.
Pleasure, ma'am.
If you'll come with me, Mrs. Wentner, I'll take you in to meet Major Daggett.
All right, Captain. Thank you.
Take care of the horse and buggy, Jenkins.
Yes, sir.
Did you know my husband, Captain Quince?
Why, yes.
Out here?
That's right.
I don't remember him mentioning you in his letters, but it seems to me there was a Quince in his class at West Point.
Oh, I wasn't at the point, Mrs. Wentner. I was commissioned in the field at Shenandoah. Up from the ranks.
Oh, I see.
Here we are.
Come in.
Oh, Major Daggett, this is Mrs. Wentner. Just came in with a supply train.
Oh, this is a pleasure, Mrs. Wentner?
That's right, Major. I'm Philip Wentner's widow.
Oh, yes. Won't you sit down?
Thank you.
I didn't know your husband myself, Mrs. Wentner, but I've been assured that his death was a great loss to the Army. Even more tragic for yourself, of course.
It was a horrible thing. And even worse, a terrible, unnecessary thing. He could have been safe in Washington. I arranged it all with the president himself.
I see.
I could never understand why Philip refused it, but he was a stubborn man.
Well, he was very popular here, I understand. Isn't that right, Captain Quince?
He was a good field officer, Miss Wentner. Perhaps he wouldn't have been happy at some desk in Washington.
It might have been better for him to be a little unhappy and alive today, mightn't it, Captain?
That's hard to say, ma'am.
Well, at any rate, we're happy to have you here, Mrs. Wentner. Sorry we weren't prepared, but I'm sure Mrs. Daggett will be able to arrange things comfortably. You'll stay with my wife and me, of course.
Thank you, Major.
And perhaps we can use your visit as an excuse to liven things up around here. We've had very few social activities. Might even arrange a reception or something of the sort.
Major Daggett, I'm not here for social reasons.
Well, what I meant was...
Major Daggett, I came to get my husband's body.
Mrs. Wentner, your husband's not buried here at the fort.
I know that. But you see, I want him recovered and taken back east. I've arranged that he will be buried with full military honors in Arlington Cemetery.
But his grave is 100 miles from here, up on Lance Creek, where he was killed.
I've already come 2,000 miles. Another 100 doesn't matter.
I don't think you understand. That's Indian territory. Cheyenne and Sioux hunting ground. Treaty territory. Aside from the very real danger, my orders strictly forbid any white person to enter that region, including my own troopers.
Perhaps this letter will clear your mind. You will see it signed by the Secretary of War himself.
Yeah. Yes, I see.
So, Major Daggett, I shall want to leave for Lance Creek as soon as possible.
And you expect me to send you there with a troop escort, of course?
The letter says every assistance possible.
It also says within the scope of my orders, and with due consideration for your safety.
I'm not worried about my safety, Major Daggett.
But I am.
But in a case like this...
There are no exceptions mentioned, Mrs. Wentner.
What do I care about a treaty with those savages who murdered my husband?
The treaty was made, ma'am, to prevent other men from dying the way your husband did.
Captain Quince, I'm beginning to understand why these Indian troubles go on and on. I've wondered about that. Wondered why you didn't just wipe them out. I think you're afraid of them.
It's not that easy. The Indians are people, too. They have rights.
I'm not interested in their rights, Captain Quince. And I'm not interested in your orders, Major Daggett. Am I to understand that you refuse to allow me to go to Lance Creek?
That's correct. I can't risk your life nor the lives of my men. And I won't risk a general Indian war.
Very well. Captain Quince, would you be good enough to show me to my quarters?
Of course, ma'am.
Company! Right front in the line! Right front in the line! Ho! Company! Company! Ho!
Sergeant Gord.
Yes, sir.
Dismiss the company.
Yes, sir. Company! Prepare to dismount! Dismount! I am off!
Well, Captain Quince, it's all very impressive. The parade ground, the drilling.
Yes, it is, Miss Wentner.
Until you remember that in spite of all the military show, you're still afraid to face the Indians.
Have you completed your tour of inspection?
Yes. Lieutenant Seibert's has shown me everything, I think. It's all very interesting. Seeing the place that Philip called home. There's one thing I'd like explained, however.
What's that, ma'am?
What could possibly have held him here? What holds you, Captain Quince?
I'm afraid I can't explain it to you, Mrs. Wentner.
I'm sure you couldn't.
May I escort you to your quarters?
Thank you. I've noticed several men dressed in buckskins lounging about the store. The sutlers, you call it. Who are they?
Civilian scouts. Charlie Reynolds, Will Granby, Pete Hazen.
It was one of them, wasn't it, who found my husband up on Lance Creek?
Yes, ma'am. Pete Hazen. He led the burial detail back.
I must talk to him sometime.
He's under the major's orders, too, ma'am.
I meant, Captain Quince, he might be able to tell me things about my husband. Things a wife would like to know.
Of course, ma'am.
You don't like me, do you, Captain?
I don't know you well enough to like or dislike you, Mrs. Wentner. But it seems plain to me that you intend to disregard every consideration to get to Lance Creek.
If you'll excuse me.
Come in. Captain Quint's reporting, sir.
Oh, Lee. I've just been thinking, Caldwell's due for a leave. Who can we send out to the Clearwater Patrol as replacement? Is Seibert's too green?
No, he'll do. He's come along fast.
All right, good.
Major, what about Mrs. Wentner?
Well, what about her?
I think she's going to make trouble.
I don't think she can. I've kept a check of the telegraph office and the mail. I think she's accepting the inevitable.
I don't. I think she's determined to go to Lance Creek, one way or another.
How can she, if I won't let her?
I don't know. But I think you better warn the civilian scouts, especially Pete Hazen.
Oh, he wouldn't be that much of a fool.
I wouldn't think so either. But with her, anything can happen.
I believe that. She's quite a woman.
February 26, 1956, Raymond Burr in Fort Laramie on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. Thanks for making us a part of your Saturday. We'll have the news from that date 66 years ago. But first, we have these important words from your favorite station you need to hear.
No offense, but are you a little fat when you look in the mirror? How would you like to learn the secrets to lose 3 to 5 pounds a week easily without joining the gym or going through any crazy diets? It's called Body Sculpt by Med Diet. For the last 2 decades, we've been helping people just like you that have pounds they want to shed. We've helped millions of people lose thousands and thousands of pounds over the years. And now it's your turn. Learn the secrets of how to lose weight with one simple phone call. You'll see an amazing difference in a matter of days. Don't believe us? We'll offer you a money-back guarantee. If you're ready to start losing weight right now, call right now to learn more about your risk-free order to Body Sculpt.
Call for your risk-free offer. 800-738-5332. 800-738-5332. 800-738-5332. That's 800-738-5332.
Thank you for tuning in to Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox here on your favorite station. We're listening to an episode of Fort Laramie starring Raymond Burr, as it was originally broadcast Sunday, February 26, 1956. In the newspapers of that Sunday 66 years ago, these were some of the headlines. Senate Democrats yesterday sharply challenged Secretary of State John Foster Dulles' claim that the free world is in a stronger position relative to Russia now than it was a year ago. The Democrat senator from Arkansas, J. William Fulbright, a member of the Foreign Relations Committee, in which he questioned Dulles at length, told a reporter his statement that we're better off than we were a year ago with respect to Russia taxes my credibility. I could hardly believe my ears when he said that we have increased our strength in the past 6 months or so. Senator John Sparkman, the Democrat from Alabama, said he found it hard to believe the Secretary's testimony that Russia is changing its policy because, quoting, it is afraid of us. This foreign relations member argued that the Soviets are meeting the U.S. in armaments and in some cases are moving ahead. President Eisenhower and Secretary of State Dulles expected to dispatch this week a new positive rejection of Soviet Premier Bulganin's persistent proposal for a Russian-American friendship treaty. Diplomatic officials speculated that one way to handle the Bulganin offer would be to make a counterproposal of a treaty acceptable to the U.S., Britain, and France, but they have had trouble finding a formula which would do this within the requirements of American policy. Adlai Stevenson said last night the Republican Party doesn't know what it stands for and can't know until it hears one syllable. He also spoke strongly in favor of eliminating racial barriers. GOP policy awaits President Eisenhower's decision on whether to run again, he asserted. Democrats, on the other hand, Stevenson declared, stood where they have always stood, believing, as did Jefferson, in equal rights for all, special privileges for none, asserting America is nothing unless it stands for equal treatment for all citizens under the law. Stevenson had said, freedom is unfinished business, quoting, until all citizens may vote and live and go to school and work without encountering in their daily life barriers which we reject in our law, our conscience, and our religion. President Eisenhower ended an 11-day Georgia vacation yesterday, perhaps with the big decision about a second term already formed in his mind, but he gave no new hint in returning to the Capitol on whether he had reached a decision, what it might be, or when he will announce it. Most speculation points to next Wednesday if he holds a news conference then. New York City Patrolman John Kennedy has retired after 29 years on the police force. His station every day since 1927 has been under the West Side Highway at Canal Street. In all that time, he's handed out just 12 traffic summonses. Saying too many summonses is an indication of poor operations. And those some of the day's top news stories as reported in the newspapers of Sunday, February 26, 1956, on your radio, Fort Laramie, starring Raymond Burr. The conclusion next on this Saturday Classic Radio Theater on your favorite station.
Are you suffering with arthritis or osteoporosis? Do you have diabetes? Did you know that these are just two of the hundreds of diseases that have seen improvement with Dr. Wallach's incredible longevity products? You can't get them at a health food store. The only way to get them is to call us at 800-214-0065. That's 800-214-0065. Do you have heart disease, fibromyalgia, or high blood pressure? Do you have a terrible time losing weight? Dr. Wallach can help. He was a veterinarian and cured diseases in animals. He felt that he could do the same for humans, so he became a physician. Over 50 years of research and helping people like you goes into every bottle of Dr. Wallach's amazing discoveries. Do you want to feel better? Learn how to treat the cause of your problem rather than covering up the symptoms with drugs. Call 800-214-0065. That's 800-214-0065.
On Sunday's Classic Radio Theater, we get on the train and meet with the mysterious traveler from 78 years ago. I think this is a very early edition of the show because it's from February 27th, 1944, 78 years ago. The good die young. Young Sandra detests her new stepmother and is determined to get rid of her as soon as possible. That's on Sunday's Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. But now the conclusion of our Saturday program, Fort Laramie, starring Raymond Burr from 66 years ago, February 26th, 1956.
Oh, by the way, the evening social's all set up for Saturday night. Nettie's sending out the invitations today. Having a small dinner first. You're supposed to come.
Oh?
As Mrs. Wentner's escort.
Why me?
Well, you're an inmate of Old Bedlam. You're eligible.
There are other bachelor officers living there, Syberts.
Youngsters. She's more your age. Now, don't fight it, Lee. Nettie's mind's made up.
Only one thing I don't like about your wife, Major. She's a matchmaker.
Yeah, I know. She can't help herself. Hates to see an unmarried officer, especially one as old as you. And after all, Mrs. Wentner is a widow and mighty attractive. You could do worse.
Major, some women are Army, some aren't. When Phil Wentner came out to Laramie, he came alone.
She seems to fit in fine now. Maybe she's changed.
Women like that don't change.
Just the same, you'll escort her Saturday night. You better present your compliments to her tomorrow afternoon.
That an order, sir?
Tomorrow afternoon, Lee. White gloves.
Oh, Captain Quince.
Afternoon, Mrs. Daggett. I'd like to present my compliments to Mrs. Wentner.
Why, yes, of course, Captain. Only, well...
What is it, Miss Daggett?
Well, it's very strange. But last night, Carolyn asked not to be disturbed this morning. Said she wanted to sleep late. But when she didn't come out, even for luncheon, I got worried. So a few minutes ago I knocked and looked in her room. She's not there, Captain. She didn't sleep in her bed last night. Captain, where are you going?
To the settlers, Miss Daggett. You better tell the Major.
Lee, what do you make of it?
It's very simple, Major. Mrs. Wentner was last seen last night. Pete Hazen left sometime before dawn with 2 loaded pack mules, 2 horses, 1 rig side saddle. He left this at the settlers for you, with a $20 gold piece. Guess it's his resignation. Didn't want to get arrested for disobeying orders.
Yeah, you're right.
They're on their way to Lance Creek. They got at least 11 hours start.
They've got to be stopped.
Yeah, if they're still alive.
How long will it take you to get B Company ready?
Too long. Besides, a full company up there will mean war.
You think you can get a small detachment through, 5 or 6 men?
I can try. And if we're caught, we might be able to talk our way out of it.
They can't be moving very fast.
I'd say I could catch them about halfway.
All right, Lee. Take the men you want and an extra amount for each. Rations for 4 days and 200 rounds of ammunition.
50 rounds will be enough, Major. If we have to fight at all, it won't matter how much ammunition we have.
I've lost their tracks, Captain.
There, over there, Gorse.
Oh, yeah, that's it. I'd never believed it, Captain. 2 days from the fort, almost to Lance Creek, and they're still ahead of us.
I underestimated that woman. She's tougher than I thought.
She sure must be. Captain.
Yep, and they've seen us.
They've stopped.
Ho! Miss Wentner?
How do you do, Captain?
She gave me an awful lot of money, Captain. More than I'd ever seen in one piece.
Yeah, that's what I figured.
You're not going to stop me now, Captain. Mr. Hazen says the graves are just over that ridge there.
Miss Wentner, we're going to turn around right here and head back to the fort as fast as we can make it. Do you have any idea of the danger?
Captain, up there on the hill.
Yeah, I see.
Riding circle, signaling.
Why, that's an Indian.
It is, Miss Wentner.
Oh.
Captain, what are you going to do?
Might as well go on up to Lance Creek. Do what the lady came to do.
This is it. Right over there. This one.
Just this?
That's it.
You're sure?
His insignia will be inside the rocks.
It's so quiet here. So peaceful.
Right now it is. Get a spade, Jenkins.
Yes, sir.
Miss Wentner, you sure you want to go through with this?
What do you mean, Captain?
Why, it wasn't time for a proper burial.
I see. Did they do anything to him?
Cheyenne always do.
You may proceed.
All right, Jenkins. Miss Wentner, why don't you wait over there?
Captain Quince, I'm not a schoolgirl. I came this far. I can stand to watch.
All right. Pete, who was this?
That there was Sergeant Tackleberry, Captain.
One with a red mustache, Captain?
And a laugh you could hear clean across the river.
Yeah, I remember.
And that one there was Lieutenant Williams.
Yep.
Captain, is that the Lieutenant Williams my husband used to speak about in his letters?
I expect so. They were friends. All these men were his friends. Men who lived with him, fought with him, died with him. He wasn't alone, Miss Wentner. They're all buried here where they fell.
I see. Mr. Jenkins.
Ma'am?
Stop digging for a moment. Captain, you don't want me to do this. Why?
I don't think your husband would care about being buried in Arlington Cemetery.
Why? Tell me, Captain Quince. You knew him? What was he like out here?
Like any other man, not very different. But he liked it. Liked the country, the men, liked the job. He was willing to die here if necessary.
Are you trying to say that he came here to get away? That he didn't want to go back home? That he didn't care about me?
He never talked about you, Miss Wentner.
Captain, all I want to do is take him back to a hero's grave.
He's in a hero's grave. Nothing you or I can do will add to that.
You think I'm a selfish woman. I was thinking only of myself, of my pride.
Only you can answer that, Miss Wentner.
On the ridge, Captain.
Yeah, they didn't waste any time.
Must have been a hunting party close. They're coming down.
Must be 30 at least. Doesn't give us much chance, Captain.
Oh.
It's important to keep calm, Miss Wentner. Very important right now.
What have I done? Bringing you men here to this.
We may be able to get out of it yet. Talbot, keep those horses under control. When they get a whiff of those Indian ponies. Mrs. Wentner, what are you doing?
If anything's going to happen, I want his grave just the way it was.
Jenkins, help her.
Yes, sir.
Sergeant Gorse.
Yes, sir.
Watch her. Stay right behind her. If the Indians attack you, you know what to do.
Yes, sir.
Don't miss.
I won't.
What do you think, Hazen?
Can't tell yet. They're still bunched, ain't hurrying. But they ain't gonna be friendly.
No, we're uninvited guests. Can't expect much.
They're down and stringing out.
And stopping. Right across the only way out.
Well, they won't come any closer to the graves. Cheyenne custom, respect for the dead. Even the dead they killed. We're safe as long as we stay right here.
How long can we stay, Pete?
Captain, we might try cutting up over the ridge.
Oh, the minute we break and run, we're finished. I'll go out to him.
Might as well all go, Captain. There'll be no defending ourselves anyways.
All right. Miss Wentner?
Looks all right now, doesn't it, Captain?
Yes, it does. Well, ma'am?
Don't worry, I'll be fine.
Good. Now, everybody will move slowly forward, leading your horses. Move easily. Don't show any fear or excitement.
It's Little Bear, Captain.
At least he can talk some. Won't have to use sign.
That's right, Captain.
I'll do the talking, Hazen.
Sure.
Greetings to Little Bear.
White soldier give promise. Stay off Cheyenne hunting ground. Why you come?
We come in peace, not war. We don't want trouble with the Cheyenne. They don't want trouble with us.
Treaties say you stay out.
I know
I made them come.
the white lady came to find the grave of her husband. A warrior killed in battle here. She wants to take his body back to his home, to Washington.
What warrior?
The little captain. The captain with the yellow hair.
Yeah. That one great warrior.
Captain. These are the Indians.
That's right, ma'am. Little Bear. The Cheyenne had great warriors killed here, too. but the Cheyenne could take their dead away to their proper burial place. Will Little Bear allow us to take this warrior with us and leave the hunting ground in peace?
Better leave spirit of dead in peace.
In Washington, there is a place to bury great warriors with much honor. She will take him there.
Better leave dead buried.
All right, Captain. We'll leave him. He's right. I know that now. Philip is better off here, in his hero's grave.
All right, ma'am. Will Little Bear allow us to leave the hunting grounds in peace?
Go.
Thank you, Little Bear. All right. Everybody mount up. Easy. We'll move out now, before he changes his mind. Sergeant Gorse, how does it look behind?
They're turning away. I figure it's all right.
We'll keep the horses at walk just the same for a while.
Yes, sir.
Captain. Thank you.
What for, Mrs. Wentner? It was probably your presence that saved us and what you said.
No, I mean, for teaching me a lesson.
Not me, Miss Wentner. Let's say this country out here. It can teach you a lot of lessons. Maybe I was wrong about something, too.
What?
Oh, just something I said about people not changing. Just something I said. You know, we keep moving. We might be able to make the Daggett Social Saturday night.
Fort-Laramie is produced and directed by Norman MacDonald and stars Raymond Burr as Lee Quince, Captain of Cavalry, with Vic Perrin as Sergeant Gorse. The script was specially written for Fort-Laramie by John Dunkel, with sound patterns by Bill James and Ray Kemper. Musical supervision by Amerigo Marino. Featured in the cast were Virginia Gregg, Jack Moyles, Harry Bartell, Jack Crucian, Helen Klebe, Joseph Cranston, and James Nusser.
Company, tension! Dismiss!
A great show from 66 years ago, February 26, 1956, Fort-Laramie, here on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. Visit my webpage, classicradio.stream. That's classicradio.stream, where you can stream our shows. You can learn more on classic radio collecting and contact me, classicradio.stream. Our shows are also available anywhere you can find, like the iPod programs, Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, also through iHeartRadio, Spotify. Just search for Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. Please thank this radio station, support their advertisers, and tell your friends. The great radio shows are right here at this spot on the dial. Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox on your favorite radio station.